How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to finally take on a Generation 2 proper game in the form of a Professor Oak's challenge in Pokemon Crystal. Yeah, we've done Johto before in both a solo challenge and in the infamous Heart Gold Soul Silver Oak challenge, but hey, this one's quite different. It's still pretty difficult, but I won't get into any specifics until we actually get into it. Anyway, let me give you a quick refresher on the rules of the POC. Rule number 1, you can only catch and evolve every available Pokemon there is before every gym badge. Rule number 2, no glitches, and rule number 3, no trading with other games. Easy, right? Well, let's find out as I complete the Professor Oak's challenge for Pokemon Crystal. I name myself Cha and get straight into it, but while we do the few things before getting our starter, make sure you're subscribed, physically check since you might think you're subscribed since you keep getting my videos recommended. You're not, so subscribe, and like the video. Let's try to hit 2,000 likes, links to my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord server in the description, and last but not least, I restructured my Patreon page recently. If you'd like stuff like early access to my videos, challenge requests, and polls to choose what POCs I do, go ahead and head on over there, link in the description. If you remember back to my Heart Gold Oak challenge, you'll recall that I chose Totodile because it evolves at the lowest level out of the 3 starters of Generation 2, so I'll be doing the same here. I didn't bother to catch anything until I made it up to Mr. Pokemon, getting the mystery egg in the Pokedex from Professor Oak himself to start the challenge while grabbing a hidden potion on my way out. More on this later. Taking out my rival, who I named Silver since I wasn't feeling sarcastic on the day I began this challenge, dropping off the egg to Elm afterwards. So this is our first major event in the game we need to take care of. We need our mother to save money for us, as we'll need a Moonstone in the pre-badge 3 section. This requires 18,270 Pokédollars for her to purchase it, meaning we'll need to perfect our money-making schemes. This requires us to take down all of the trainers for the next 3 sections, grabbing all of the regular items as well as all of the hidden items around us, and selling whatever we don't use. So yeah, we can't really be using potions or antidotes for convenience sake. It's not that strict, but I do want to get it as early as possible. There's only one hidden item in this section, but that's fine since there's a number of them we can get in the next 2 sections, so it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, let's get into some catches. Route 29 is our first location where I can capture myself a Sentret, Pidgey, and Hoppip during the day, as well as Hoot Hoot and Rattata during the night. This game has time-sensitive encounters, and the time can be changed by doing a button combination on the title screen. This is pretty simple in Gold and Silver, just using down, select, and B to get to the screen, but Crystal is a little bit more complicated, as you need to press down, select, and B, then while holding select, let go of down and B, then press left and up and let go of select. Got all that? Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, but at least we don't have to do this all that often. With that information in hand, I'm able to go north to Route 46 to grab a Geodude, Spearow, and Phanpy during the morning, the latter of which only appears in the morning. Passing through Cherry Grove and getting to Route 30 leads me to capture Weedle, Caterpie, and Ladybug during the morning, and Spinarak, Poliwag, and Zubat during the night. We'll need to keep Zubat in our party because of that friendship evolution, but that won't be much of a pain since there's so many Pokemon to evolve in this section that it probably won't matter. Since it's still nighttime, I'm able to get through the trainers on Route 30 in order to move over to Route 31 and grab 2 Bellsprouts, one of which is for a trade before heading into Violet City. I still have the game set to nighttime, so I went up into the Sprout Tower to catch a Ghastly, which must have been one of my most awkward encounters I've ever had in a Professor Oak's challenge. I do not have a single attacking move on my team, aside from Zubat's Leech Life that can touch this, so I swap in for Rattata and go for -6 defense with Tail Whip, only to be put to sleep and held down for what seems like 25 turns before being able to swap out when I thought he ran out of Hypnosis, but of course he didn't, so I had to swap Zubat back out or else it would go down and I'd lose happiness on it. Not something I'm interested in doing at all. So I had to just sit there with Rattata, not being affected by anything until it got down to struggle. Taking out half my team as the recoil damage whittled him away, catching him in 3 Pokeballs and allowing me to move on. Fortunately, the next encounter is much easier, as all I have to do is trade my spare Bellsprout in the house to the southwest of the Pokemon Center for an Onix, which I immediately tossed in the box since the held item wasn't a metal coat. Jerk. So now I'm in a bit of a conundrum. I've almost run out of money in Pokeballs, so I had to clear out the trainers in both the Sprout Tower and Faulkner's Gym, barely not getting to Sentret's evolution level, but we'll have plenty of time for grinding later, as we always do. Circling back to Jerks though, I changed the time to morning so that I could travel back to the Dark Cave on Route 31. This is sadly the first of a few areas with 1% encounters, that being the Pain in the Bum Dunsparce. Before finding anything to catch though, Sentret evolved into Furret at level 15, so I just swapped over for Totodile to get it to a high enough level to learn a water move, finding and capturing a Teddiursa during the grind. This search was stupidly long, to the point where it took over 2 hours, which ended up being enough time for Totodile to evolve into Croconaw at level 18, and Caterpie into Metapod at level 7, and so long that the clock went from morning to day, eliminating Teddiursa encounters, but that doesn't boost the encounter rate of Dunsparce, it just makes Zubat come out 5% more often. Craziness to be sure, but at least I managed not to flub the first Dunsparce, capturing it and leaving me with just 2 more encounters for the section. The first of these is to the left of Violet City on Route 36, where I can capture a Growlithe during the day. This route also connects to the ruins of Alph, and after completing the Kabuto puzzle here, I'm able to capture the last Pokemon of the section, Unknown. Alright, with 22 Pokemon, it's time to find a good grinding spot. My strategy was to basically bring in the weak Pokemon that can't train themselves into Sprout Tower at night, those being Metapod, Kakuna, Hoppip, Ladybug, and Zubat, to go along with Croconaw, as well as Ghastly after Metapod evolved into Butterfree at level 10, in order to build up a Pokemon that can train against the Ghastlies in here, since they yield the most EXP in the section when encountered at the highest level of 6. The switch training was definitely the play here, just swapping between the weak Pokemon and Croconaw and eventually Ghastly in order to do damage to the Pokemon in here. I went for this strategy since the Gym Whiteout method does not work in this section. A level 7 Pidgey does not yield enough EXP to warrant the amount of time to wipe to a level 9 Pidgeotto, and Route 32 doesn't actually have any grass accessible until after the first badge, unlike how Heart and Soul Silver have a patch right above the guy that gives you the Miracle Seed. But I suppose this isn't a problem, since at least we have an optimal way of being able to change the time and fight Ghastlies at all times in the Sprout Tower, eventually evolving Weedle into Kakuna at level 7, and into Beedrill at level 10, Ladybug into Ledian at level 18, Hoppip into Skiploom at level 18, Rattata into Raticate at level 20, Bellsprout into Weepinbell at level 21, Hoot Hoot into Noctowl at level 20, Croconaw into Feraligatr at level 30, Phanpy into Donphan at level 25, Skiploom into Jumpluff at level 27, Spinarak into Ariados at level 22, Ghastly into Haunter at level 25, no Gengar because of no trading, Geodude into Graveler at level 25, no Golem again because of no trading, Spearow into Fearow at level 20, Poliwag into Poliwhirl at level 25, Pidgey into Pidgeotto at level 29 because it learns Wing Attack at that level, Zubat into Golbat at level 22, Teddiursa into Ursaring at level 30, Pidgeotto into Pidgeot at level 36, and Golbat into Crobat at level 23 with max happiness. And with that, I have a total of 46 Pokemon and a time of 44 hours and 17 minutes. I was starting to wonder by the end of that grind if I'd be able to do it in under 45 hours thanks to my luck with how many level 6 Ghastlies I was getting, but with the finalized dex total, I managed to execute a weak Pidgey and Pidgeotto to take out Faulkner, getting the Zephyr badge. Alright, so the second section is a little bit easier. Less Pokemon and a bit more of a reliable EXP yield, but there's still quite a few things to capture. First things first is that there's an egg in the Pokemon Center as soon as I beat Faulkner, which we'll be keeping in the party to hatch. I headed south to Route 32 where I can actually access some grass now, housing 2 encounters, those being Wooper during the night and Ekans during the day. I made sure to keep Pidgeot in my party so that I could switch out if needed during battles, but Wooper and Ekans were able to hold their own throughout, eventually getting to this trainer named Fisherman Ralph. Getting his number after the battle for the Pokegear is super important, but not until I go to the Pokemon Center and get the Old Rod, since now it's time for some backtracking. I don't like backtracking, but hey, at least there's only 5 new encounters thanks to it, those being Magikarp on Route 32, Goldeen in Dark Cave, Krabby in Cherry Grove City, Tentacool in New Barktown, and Quillfish back on Route 32. Honestly, I expected to have to do this, but I may as well explain this now. There's a trainer on Route 32, again by the name of Fisherman Ralph, that will give you his phone number and tell you of any swarms that are happening there. This can be made to happen immediately by changing daylight savings time back and forth in New Barktown by talking to your mother. But I was reasonably lucky enough to have him just call me while I was in Cherry Grove City, so there wasn't any reason for me to change the daylight savings time over and over again. With that little bit of backtracking out of the way, I made sure to keep Magikarp in the party for switch training and entered Union Cave. The only thing interesting in here is Sandshrew, so I just took out the remainder of the trainers and emerged on Route 33, walking straight into Azalea Town. I got Kurt to break his back and walked into the Slowpoke well to take out Team Rocket, hatching my Togepi egg before getting Slowpoke, also before beating the Executive, who's unfortunately unnamed in this game. Really don't know why they ended up going with a uniform sprite for all of them, but I'm glad that they changed it in the remake. With all that stupid Team Rocket stuff out of the way, I want to go into the Ilex Forest, but Silver's in the way, so I go ahead and take him out, and then realize, it's probably a good idea if I start grinding Slowpoke now. Taking it out of the PC and switch training it in the gym, taking out all of the trainers before heading into the Ilex Forest. There's a few new Pokemon here, such as 2 Oddish, Paris, Psyduck, and Venonat all at night, finishing up the encounters for this section. Awesome! I guess I'll just go ahead and grind up Slowpoke in the gym first using the gym whiteout strategy, since this thing is a big old pain as a level 37 evolution is a quite high level, being even harder than Pidgeot, so I went ahead and deposited my money with my mother, and did so I don't lose any of it, getting some really good results. It started out to where I could only take out Metapod, giving me 200 EXP, which is about how much I could get from 3 to 4 battles in the Ilex Forest, so this was already faster, but eventually I was able to take out both Metapod and Scyther, which nets me 800 EXP combined, way more than even the Headbutt trees and... oh, right. Yeah, there are the Headbutt encounters, and since Slowpoke gets Headbutt at level 34, I have to take care of them. Luckily, there's only 4 of them, and only one of them evolves in this generation, so it's not that big of a deal. Those 4 happen to be Pineco and Ilex Forest, Apom and Heracross in Azalea Town, and Execute on Route 32. I should probably explain how I was able to find the correct trees for this. It's very simple though. There's a calculator that shows you on a map of each area which trees have normal and rare encounters, which I will leave in the description. Now that we've got all of the encounters we need, let's decide on where we need to grind finally. Well, it's not that hard to decide actually. You see, the Ilex Forest Headbutt encounters are chock full of fully evolved Pokemon, having Noctowl, Butterfree, and Beedrill being able to appear at a combined 20% of the time. These Pokemon all provide around 200 EXP per encounter, which is a lot less than the 800 I can get from Bugsy's Metapod and Scyther combined on each run-through. The only downside coming from this is that certain Pokemon can bait out Kakuna instead of Scyther, such as with Pineco, so essentially I had to keep Slowpoke in the party, switching out to him and taking out Metapod to bait out Scyther, then let it be taken down by Fury Cutter in a few turns so that Pineco could follow up. The only other problem I had during this section was having to try to evolve Togepi, so I had to grind a few Pokemon in the Headbutt trees in Ilex Forest, using the time that I was walking back and forth between the Pokemon Center and the certain tree to get increased encounters so that I could build up its friendship, finishing both sets of tasks and leading to a rush of evolutions, starting with Pineco into Fortress at level 31, Slowpoke into Slowbro at level 37, Magikarp into Gyarados at level 20, Wooper into Quagsire at level 20, Ekans into Arbok at level 22, Sandshrew into Sandslash at level 22, Oddish into Gloom at level 21, Paris into Parasect at level 24, Krabby into Kingler at level 28, Venonat into Venomoth at level 31, Goldeen into Seaking at level 33, Psyduck into Golduck at level 33, Tentacool into Tentacruel at level 30, and Togepi into Togetic at level 16 with max happiness. With that, I have a total of 76 Pokemon and a time of 74 hours and 20 minutes. Gotta chalk that up to my laying out of certain Pokemon for Bugsy, and I'm really happy with the section. With the second badge in tow, it's time for the section where we need to get that Moonstone. Fortunately, I've saved quite a bit of money so far in this run, so it shouldn't be too hard to get by the end, since I had sold just about anything that wasn't a Pokeball. Anyway, after running through the forest that I've driven my Slowpoke's head into for a few hours, I'm able to emerge on the other side onto Route 34, where I'm immediately able to capture Snubbull, Ditto, Jigglypuff, and 2 Abra, one of them for a trade, and during the night I can grab a Drowsy. Leading to something pretty close to the HGSS Oak Challenge, and that calls for Evolution Stones. Luckily, they aren't as stupid since we have that daylight savings time workaround, so we won't have to wait around for several days or weeks at a time, but we will be waiting until the end of the section to grab said stones. One last thing before leaving Route 34, and that's the Daycare Man. I made sure to save in front of him because he gives us an odd egg, which can hatch into either Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, or Magby with a 1 in 16 chance of being shiny. We can't get Thunderstones yet, so Pikachu only gives us 2. Cleffa gives us 3, but that means we use the Moonstone on that instead of Jigglypuff, so just 2. Igglybuff is pointless since we can breed Jigglypuff and Ditto in this section, and Smoochum, Elekid, and Magby all give me 2. However, Tyrogue gives me a whopping 4 after breeding, since it has 3 different evolutions, so I had to soft reset around 5 times before finally getting an egg that ended up being that correct Pokemon. I didn't get any shinies on the previous 4 attempts, a shame really, but hey, we might be able to get one on this one. During this resets, I'm actually able to form a routine where I'd grab the bicycle, evolve Abra into Kadabra at level 16 on the basement trainers, grab the coin case, training my second Abra for Machop on the 5th floor of the department store, then grabbing the radio card before withdrawing Jigglypuff and breeding it with Ditto so that I could go grab the egg in a bit. Then I went up to Route 35, National Park, and Route 36 to take out all of the trainers for the money, including getting the phone number from Schoolboy Alan, who just like in HGSS, gives me Firestones from phone calls. Next up on the list is heading all the way back to New Barktown to deposit all of my money to my mother, having just enough to get the Moonstone for when I have a trainer battle. After doing so, I traveled back and grabbed my egg from the daycare and withdrew my Pokemon to put them... Oh, right. I'm out of money after depositing. Well, I guess I should fight the trainers inside of the Goldenrod City gym then, so I can grab them. Apparently, I can't trigger a phone call with my mom inside of the gym though, so I just went over to Route 35 and fought one of the few trainers I left as failsafes, and the call triggered, giving me access to the Moonstone to evolve Jigglypuff into Wigglytuff, rode around hatching both a shiny Tyrogue and an Igglybuff. I'm 100% pleased that I managed to get a shiny out of one of these eggs, but they do have a 1 in 16 chance, as I said before, to hatch shiny, but it being a shiny Tyrogue specifically is pretty cool. Now that I don't have a need for my mom to save money though, I can go all the way back to New Barktown, grab all of it, and while I'm here, grind out the evolutionary stones I need for this section. I need 3 leaf stones and 2 fire stones. However, I'll only be using 1 fire stone in this section. I just figured I'd get the second one since I'll need it for the next section anyway. Also, now that I have this extra bit of money, I headed into the Goldenrod Game Corner to purchase 2 Pokemon, that being Cubone and Wobbuffet. Yeah, that means I don't have to train Dratini in this section, which is such a relief. Doing it in Heart Gold was a bit of a pain, and I didn't feel like doing it again just yet, so I held off on Gold and Silver. And yeah, that's basically the main reason I didn't do Gold and Silver first, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna break the fourth wall here. With all of that back and forth out of the way, though, I've got quite a few things remaining in this section up here, north of Goldenrod, that I still have to do. So, I suppose grabbing the remainder of those encounters for the section would be a wise thing to do. But before that, I have the Evolutionary Stones in hand, so I go ahead and evolve Gloom into Vileplume, Weepinbell into Victory Bell, and Execute into Executor, all with the Leaf Stones, and Growlithe into Arcanine with a Firestone. Getting back to encounters though, first of which is Yanma on Route 35, yet another 1% encounter. But it wasn't nearly as bad as HGSS. In fact, I literally found it in less than 10 encounters, giving me a Yanma within 10 minutes of searching. The last area of encounters was National Park, where I can capture myself both Nidorans, female and male, as well as Sunkern. However, there's 2 other encounters I can get while a part of the bug catching contest, which only occurs on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I could go ahead and capture myself a few new Pokemon, evolving Stubble into Granbull at level 23, before finally grabbing myself a Pinsir and a Scyther, keeping the Scyther and managing to win. I need 2 of the first place prizes, those being Sunstones, and fortunately, time changes doesn't affect the contest, so I'm able to save before the next attempt, getting the Sunstone and finishing the stone collecting for the section. So it's grinding time, but where to grind? There are 3 choices for me here, the first of which is grinding through the bug catching contest on things like Scyther and Pinsir. Sadly, this really doesn't work well with lower level evolutions, which is the majority of the Pokemon that I need to evolve, which I saw for myself when I attempted to level up my male Nidoran, so I just reset and went to try to train on Route 35. This also did not go well either, as stuff like Pidgey and Abra either KO Nidoran or teleport away before I can even connect an attack, so this doesn't work either. Can't really do the gym whiteout method since we're back down to 2 Pokemon in the gym battle, and I have no reliable way to only KO Miltank and leave Clefairy alive to maximize the EXP, so that just leaves Route 34. Fortunately, this works great as Nidoran's quickly able to grind up to level 16, evolving into Nidorino. I decided that this would be the wisest place to continue grinding with the low-level Pokemon, which is basically everything aside from Machop and Cubone, so I just continued to grind, evolving Nidoran Female into Nidorina at level 16, Tyrogue into Hitmontop at level 20, Tyrogue number 2 into Hitmonchan at level 20 with more defense than attack, Tyrogue number 3 into Hitmonlee at level 20 with more attack than defense, Sunkern into Sunflora using a Sunstone, the second Oddish into Gloom at level 21 and into Bellossom with the other Sunstone, and Drowsy into Hypno at level 26. I ended up breeding both of the extra Tyrogues while grinding, got them pretty quickly and thanks to some luck with DVs and stat experience training, that ended up being pretty easy, but now I've just got to deal with Machop and Cubone. With these, I started with Route 34, getting up to about level 18 before heading to Route 35 for the slightly higher level Pokemon, eventually getting up to around the early mid-20s and finishing them off in the bug catching contest. And since I figured this would probably be a point to come up, Machop being traded has no bearing on the challenge fortunately, seeing as the Hive badge that I got last section gives me the ability to level up until level 30 before traded up Pokemon start disobeying, which is plenty enough for Machop to evolve. This ended up getting them grinded up really quickly, letting me evolve Machop into Machoke at level 28, and Cubone into Marowak also at level 28. With that, that's pre-badge 3 with a total of 111 Pokemon and a time of 90 hours and 50 minutes before fighting Whitney. She's easily swept, so it's time for a new section. Pre-badge 4 isn't insane or anything, since there's a lot of Pokemon that don't evolve or evolve by stone with minimal grinding, so let's go straight into it. After I grabbed the Squirt Bottle, I was able to get Sudowoodo in a single Great Ball and move on to Route 37, where I managed to capture a Stantler during the night. Now for some fun exploitation! There's actually a trio of trees here that yield red, blue, and black apricorns. Fortunately, these apricorns sell for $100 a pop rather than 10 in other games that they're available in, so I can easily go ahead and reset the clock about 300 times to get plenty of money for the rest of the game. After all, this will give me access to TMs in the game corner to make grinding easier, a bunch of Great Balls since we have some unfortunate encounters up ahead, and healing items and repels for convenience. This takes about an hour and 45 minutes of in-game time, but a bunch of more time in real life, but it was definitely 100% worth it in order to make the rest of the run easier. I dodged as many trainers as I could since I had nothing to grind yet, getting to Ecruteak City and running into Bill in the Pokemon Center. He's on his way back to Goldenrod, so I decide to stalk him, and he gets creeped out and bribes me with an Eevee to leave him alone, so I take it, evolving it straight into Flareon with my spare Firestone, before breeding it for 4 more Eevees. I kept 2 of them in my party for friendship evolutions, opting to skip everything in Ecruteak for now, so that I could do a few more catches on Route 38, those being Meowth during the night, and Tauros, Magnemite, and Miltank during the day, as well as taking out Last Dana so that I'd have someone to give me Thunderstones, since I'll need one of these for Eevee this section. But now that I have something to grind, I went back down to Route 37 to take out the few trainers that were there, as well as the Ecruteak Theater to take out the Kimono Girls, getting the HM for Surf. And here's where the dread sets in. As I walk towards the burned tower, I realize I'm going to have to deal with 2 roamers again. I grabbed Coughing before taking out Silver, eventually letting Suicune, Entei, and Raikou roam free. Suicune will be a static encounter later on, but these 2 are going to be a bit of a pain. I'm going to be doing the same Haunter strategy that I employed in the HGSS run, but I'll be holding off until the end of the section. That said, now that Morty's in his gym, I went ahead and took out his gym trainers with Meowth before heading onward to Olivine City, taking out the lighthouse while using some of the Pokemon I've picked up so far, evolving Meowth into Persian at level 28, before grabbing the HM for strength, and grabbing the Good Rod, which means yay, it's time for backtracking again. Before I did though, I went west to Route 40, using the TM for Rock Smash that's available on Route 36 to crush rocks, until I found myself a second Krabby and a Shuckle. I can't quite get over to Cianwood yet to get the gift Shuckle, so I figured just grab it here because it's the only other available one to get. The second Krabby is used for a trade inside of the house northeast of the Pokemon Center to get me Voltorb. This, I could have gotten a higher level Krabby by fishing, but it was only a 5 level difference, so I figured it wasn't that big of a deal. So the first Krabby I ended up finding, I just caught. Anyway, Good Rod time. Fortunately, the encounters are centralized in Olivine City. Since in the city proper, I can grab Corsola during the day and Staryu during the night, and in the harbor, I'm able to grab Chinchou, my best friend from the Fire Red Leaf Green 386 series. Seriously, if you haven't seen that video, you should go check it out, since you'd be shocked, no pun intended, at how good Chinchou is. And Shelter. Plugging this aside, no pun intended again, there's only 2 more Pokemon to capture that aren't roamers, both of which are east of Ecruteak. The first of which is on Route 42, where I can capture Marill during the night, and luckily at this point Azurill doesn't exist, so I don't have to breed it, leading me to one last thing. Fisherman Tolly is the last person that can call me for Evolution Stones, of course that being the Water Stone, and since I need a whopping 4 of them, I'm going to be chatting his ear off near the end of this section. With that, I moved to Mahogany Town, where there's basically nothing to do at the moment, so I just went north to Route 43, where I can... Oh, hey, look at that. It's Raikou. Well, I'm definitely not wasting my Ultra Ball right now, so I just fired off Voltorb's Self-Destruct and tried hitting Magnemite's Sonic Boom, but it runs away. Well, at least I've encountered it once, that'll help for later. But what I'm here for is... Oh, okay, I'll just evolve Magnemite into Magneton at level 30, before realizing that Farfetch'd is only accessible during the day. Whoops. This is the last encounter of the section aside from the roamers, though, so let's go ahead and take care of the first step of that plan. I grabbed Haunter as well as 5 other Pokemon I needed to grind, so that I could grind it up along with my main Pokemon, but where to grind? Well, right here on Route 43 during the night is great because Noctowl is an amazing source of experience, and other Pokemon like Raticate and Venomoth are nearly just as good. And since they come up at a combined 55% of the time, it was quite an easy grind, evolving Marill into Azumarill at level 18, Chinchou into Lantern at level 27, Voltorb into Electrode at level 30, Coughing into Wheezing at level 35, Eevee into Umbreon at level 17 with Max Happiness at night, and after changing the clock, evolving my other Eevee into Espeon also at level 17 with Max Happiness during the day. Once that was all over, it was time to grind Haunter up to level 39. This wasn't the easiest thing to do since Noctowl and Raticate are normal types, but I was able to move over to the gym Whiteout strategy in Morty's gym, as he has a whopping 4 Pokemon, a very easy thing to sweep with an overpowered ghost type, nailing super effective attacks, but it can easily go down to his last Pokemon after stalling out. This took a great number of run-throughs, but once I was finished, it was time for the hunt. Haunter was at level 39 with Mean Look, Hypnosis, Dream Eater, and Nightshade. This, the 1 Ultra Ball, and the 80 some odd Great Balls I had at this point, and a bunch of Repels is plenty enough to find both Entei and Raikou. Raikou ended up being the first that I found thanks to the help of tracking it on the Pokedex due to my previous unintended encounter, allowing me to find it within around 10 minutes. Haunter outspeeds and nails Hypnosis, while Mean Look is used to keep it in for now on, and alternating between Nightshade and Dream Eater to whittle it down to red HP, which in turn lets me just spam between Great Balls and Hypnosis to keep this thing from also using Roar. Yes, these things have Roar, and they can and will use it if given the chance. This can also despawn them from the game because of a glitch, so we can't have that happen. After about 15 Great Balls, Raikou was caught, letting me move on to Entei. I actually ended up also finding it on Route 38, going between Ecruteak City and the gate there and finding it in about 10 more minutes as well, somehow. Good luck, I suppose, but this one took a little bit more time, taking about 20 Great Balls before I managed to catch it. This leaves just the Evolution Stones. I did the same process as a few sections ago, saving in front of my mom so that in case I didn't get the right calls, I could reset and prevent my in-game time from going too high. managing to get 4 Water Stones and 1 Thunderstone to evolve Shelter into Cloyster, Staryu into Starmie, Poliwhirl into Poliwrath, Eevee into Umbreon, and Eevee into Jolteon, capping off the section with 143 Pokemon and a time of 101 hours and 27 minutes. And now it's time to fight Morty, taking him out and getting me the Fog Badge. This badge gives us access to using Surf outside of battle, but that really doesn't open that much up, only opening up 7 new Pokemon, 2 of which are evolutions of stuff we already have. The first of which requires some backtracking to, say it with me now, New Bark Town! When the f did 5 people sneak into my recording area? Oh well. This is because I can surf over to Kanto and get into Tojo Falls. This area doesn't have any new captures, however I can get myself a Moonstone, letting me immediately evolve Nidorino into Nidoking with it. Next up on our list is revisiting Union Cave, where we have to use Surf in the basement to get to an exit that throws us out into the ruins of Alph, where a nice little grass patch gives me access to Natu during the day, managing to evolve it into Xatu at level 25 during the night before I realized I had changed the time for no reason, as Smeargle is only available during the day. Whoops. Though that's not all, since in the room with the Aerodactyl puzzle, I'm able to use Flash inside of the room to access a hidden area that lets me get another Moonstone. Good stuff, that gives me material to evolve Nidorina into Nidoqueen. Last one is in Union Cave, where if I go into the deepest part of the cave on Friday, I can find myself a Lapras, which I made sure to change the clock for so that I could capture it with ease, leaving just 1 more capture. Over on Route 41, I can pick up Mantine before handling the Secret Potion event, but Jasmine isn't my concern since she doesn't give me any new Pokemon available. Price does. So that means I have to go through the Lake of Rage and Team Rocket hideout event, finishing it off and getting to Price, arriving with 150 Pokemon in the Pokedex and a time of 103 hours and 23 minutes. Just a hair under 2 hours, that's not too bad. With Price defeated, I now have access to using Whirlpool outside of battle, which was given to me at the end of the Rocket hideout, so I can head into the Whirl Islands and grab a grand total of 4 Pokemon. I can find Seal by running around in the cave during the day, and while fishing with the Good Rod, I can grab Horsey. Yeah, that's it for the section. I only have to grind these up by about 10 levels each, so I just leveled them up by taking out the gym trainers in Cianwood, as well as all of the trainers on the water routes, moving back over to Route 43 during the night, since those Noctowls, Raticates, and Venomoths are still the best things to train on, evolving Horsey into Seadra at level 32, and Seal into Dugong at level 34 before taking out not 1 leader, but 2. Beating both Chuck and Jasmine with a total of 154 Pokemon and a time of 105 hours and 50 minutes. Not bad, but now it's time for a decently large roadblock. Of course, first things first is the Team Rocket takeover of the radio tower, and sadly I don't have anything to grind during this whole event, so I just fought as little as possible, taking out the collection of grunts and executives, giving me access to the Clear Bell, which opens up the encounter with Suicune. I didn't even have to reset at all, I was just able to throw 2 Ultra Balls after whittling it down with Haunter and snagging it. Yeah, that was pretty easy, thank you for that. Alright, time for some new areas. After flying back to Mahogany Town, I went east to Route 44 where there's 2 new encounters, those being Lickitung during the day and Tangela. Neither of these evolve in this generation, so I'm able to leave them behind before heading to the Ice Path, which has 4 new encounters, those being Swinub and Jinx during the day, and Delibird and Sneasel during the night. These are all 4 easily found on the furthest bottom floor, the second basement floor, and only one of them has to evolve, only once though since this is Generation 2, and Jinx needs to be bred, but that's not a problem. However, those aren't the problem for this section really. Remember back to when I said that we didn't have to grind Dratini? Yeah, this is the section where we have to do it now. Once I arrived in Blackthorn City, I went south immediately to Route 45 since there's the last few encounters for the section. The first 2 being Gligar and Skarmory during the day in the grass, and while fishing I can get 2 Dratini, one of which being female for a trade in Blackthorn. Yeah, we need to grind both of those from level 10, at least the female one only needs to get to level 30 to evolve and be tradable though. Fortunately for me though, Route 45 is a perfect place to grind. so I chucked a bunch of TMs on Swinub and the Dratini's, taking out the great EXP yield of Graveler, which could be as high as level 27 at the night, as opposed to a measly level 23 during the day. Of course, I had to switch train them until they could stand for themselves, but it didn't take long since Swinub could get Powder Snow by level up, as well as Icy Wind, which is a TM that I got from Price earlier, and Blizzard, which I can get from the Goldenrod Game Corner after spending too much money. The Dratini's could also get Surf and Waterfall, and I gave Irontail, the TM that I got from Jasmine, to my main Dratini for the long haul, eventually evolving my Swinub into Piloswine at level 33, and female Dratini into Dragonair at level 30, trading it for a Dodrio in Blackthorn City, then breeding both it and Jinx for 2 eggs, which I kept in the party during the grind, evolving my other Dratini into Dragonair before they hatched into Doduo and Smoochum respectively. Now for the big old part of the grind. I got Dragonair to level 46 before using the 9 available rare candies by this point in the game, evolving it into Dragonite at level 55. Finishing the section before Claire with a total of 170 Pokemon and a time of 112 hours and 51 minutes, just a hair over 7 hours. Those rare candies really helped out with the time there. Definitely, I would have been around for another hour or two if I didn't have access to those, and I'm glad I remained patient and didn't use any of them on Haunter back in the section with the roamers. Alright, with the Dragon's Den event done and the Rising Badge in hand, I now have access to using Waterfall outside of battle. I headed over to Kanto again, making it over to Route 27 proper now that I can get through Tojo Falls, and on the other side of Route 27 I can capture myself a Ponyta. I used this throughout the trainers here on the route to get Ponyta close to evolving, but it didn't quite make it there, so I just moved into the Victory Road. Here I can capture both a Rhydon and a Rhyhorn. For some reason I actually encountered Rhydon first, even though it's a 5% encounter, but that's great since that's just one less Pokemon I have to evolve at a high level. From here on out, I just evolved Ponyta into Rapidash at level 40 after fighting my rival and grinding it on a few more Pokemon inside of the Victory Road, leaving just the league itself. With my team of the 3 legendary beasts and a pseudo-legendary, I was able to run in guns blazing, clearing out Will, Koga, Bruno, Karen, and Lance, winning the championship with a time of 114 hours and 8 minutes. But we're not quite done yet. We still have a ton of Pokemon left in the postgame. So, I suppose there was something I forgot to clarify at the beginning of this video, and that's that I've been using the 3DS Virtual Console version of Pokemon Crystal, as there is one extra Pokemon available in this version of the game. After all, I don't want to fail the challenge just because I played the wrong version of the game. If you go into the Goldenrod City Pokemon Center and immediately turn around and leave, one of the ladies will come down from the 2nd floor and hand you the GS Ball. You don't need a Wi-Fi connection or anything to get this, so this isn't technically an event, it's all confined in one version of the game, so everything is still in the confines of the rules. This actually was originally accessible in the Japanese version of the game, but wasn't available in the English Game Boy Color release as you had to connect to the Pokemon Mobile Phone System GB, something that was not released here, so that kind of makes sense. I dropped the GS Ball off to Kurt and changed the clock in order to return the next day to get it back. This gives me access to Celebi in the Shrine in the Ilex Forest. It's level 30 and has Recover, but it was pretty easy to catch since it has a little bit of a higher catch rate than other legendaries, letting me get it in an Ultra Ball and leaving the rest of the section. I think this is the only version of a Pokemon game that, because of a re-release, has a new Pokemon available, since you can't get this in cartridge version of Crystal unless you're playing the Japanese version. Sorry, original hardware people, emulation either through Virtual Console or PC will continue to win in every conceivable way. Bias aside, now it's time to move into the meat and potatoes of the pre-Kanto badges section. First things first, we gotta restore power to the power plant on Route 10, but before entering I made sure to capture Electabuzz in the grass on the outside, recovering the machine part from the Cerulean City Gym in order to open up the region. Sadly though, after this I have to enter the Rock Tunnel. Now I absolutely hate this place normally, but I just used Lantern to use Flash in here, getting down to the lower floors and capturing a Kangaskhan before emerging on the other side to Lavender Town. There's an upgrade to the radio card here, so I made sure to get that before heading to Saffron City, talking to the copycat girl and retrieving her doll from the Pokemon fan club in Vermilion City in order to open up the Magnet Train. Normally, I don't care about this, but flying in Gen 2 isn't as easy as the remakes, so I can't technically get back over to Johto unless I use this, so this is really convenient. There's still a ton more Pokemon running around though, since to the west on Route 7 at night, I'm able to capture both Murkrow and Houndour before heading into Celadon City, where I can capture both Grimer and Muck while surfing in the water near the game corner. Absolutely disgusting if you ask me, but you know what is even more disgusting? The prices of these Pokemon in the game corner. I need 5,555 coins for Porygon, and 8,888 coins for Larvitar. So yeah, we have yet another level 55 evolution, but it's already level 40 when we get it, so it's not bad at all. Sadly, I do not nearly have enough money for this, so I flew back to Cerulean City, clearing out all of the trainers past the Nugget Bridge as well as in Misty's gym, and evolving Houndour into Houndoom at level 24, but now I'm left with the predicament that I have nothing to grind. Well, I don't want to waste time just getting money or just grinding, so I want to combine them together. So let's grab a few more encounters that can evolve before moving forward. I took to the west of Celadon City to Route 16 in order to capture Slugma from the grass here. This should be enough to train with for a little while. Several sets of gym trainers and route trainers later, Slugma evolved into Magcargo at level 38, but even then I'm still short 1,000 coins of just getting Porygon, not even having enough to start getting Larvitar. So I headed over to Route 15 to capture Chansey, yet another 1% encounter that I managed to find very easily thanks to using the Repel trick with another level 25 Pokemon. In this case I used Poliwrath in order to capture it within 15 minutes. I also made sure to grab a second one since over on Route 14, somebody wants to trade one of the Chanseys for a Aerodactyl? What the f***? Okay, I mean, I won't reject it, but how did you manage to obtain this Aerodactyl? It's a prehistoric Pokemon. Do you just know someone in the museum in Pewter City? Oh, well, it's not like I'm gonna see you again. Just a few more things, though, the first of those being Snorlax that's blocking Diglett's Cave east of Vermilion. So I went ahead and saved the game, waking it up with the upgraded Radio Cart's Pokeflute station, and captured it. Diglett's Cave is just ahead, of course, housing, you guessed it, a Diglett as well as Dugtrio thanks to some Repel tricking, leading me out to Route 2 where I can capture a Pikachu, since for some reason the Viridian Forest just doesn't exist anymore. I guess that's what happens when you start modernizing your region a bit too much, either that or console limitations. Satoru Iwata can only do so much since Game Freak isn't very good at programming video games. I continued to go south towards Pallet Town, going even further south with Surf to Route 21 in order to capture a Mr. Mime during the day. This isn't it though, since going back up to Pewter City lets me get the Silver Wing from this random old man who has it for some reason, but I'm not dropping everything to go after legendaries just yet. There's only one more Pokemon for me to capture in this section, that being Clefairy over in Mount Moon, which I can immediately evolve by changing the time to Monday night and smashing this rock left behind by some Clefairies on Mount Moon, getting me a Moonstone and evolving Clefairy into Clefable. Back to grinding Chansey, I'm still building up money since I want to get Larvitar first, since if I can do that, I can challenge the other trainers, grind him up while also getting money for the Porygon that doesn't need to be leveled. With that in mind, I trained Chansey so much that it got up to level 40, still not evolving, but letting me get around $100,000, getting me plenty enough to purchase Larvitar. Well, now I've run out of trainers in Kanto. Great. So I decided to sell some of my convenience items like full restores, hyper potions, revives, most stuff except for repels. However, I didn't end up using this money for coins just yet. I still need to do some breeding after all, specifically Electabuzz, Pikachu, and Clefable. These three are able to be bred and hatch Elekid, Pichu, and Cleffa, the second of which will actually help me evolve Pikachu. I can show this Pichu to Bill's grandpa at the peak of Route 25 in his old Kanto cottage, getting me a Thunderstone to evolve Pikachu into Raichu, thankfully without the need of a phone call. Alright, 2 more captures to go, those being the legendary Ho-Oh and Lugia. I already have the Silver Wing from the Old Man in Pewter City, but I can grab the Rainbow Wing from the Elders in the Tin Tower, since I have all 3 of the legendary beasts, heading to the top and capturing Ho-Oh within a dozen Ultra Balls thanks to the sheer speed of Haunter, putting it to sleep and roasting it with Nightshade. Lugia is the most annoying one to grab though, as the Whirl Islands are still somewhat confusing to get through without a guide. But once I got to the depths, I was finally able to catch Lugia with the Master Ball as well, leaving just Porygon as a capture. For this, I just went ahead and started grinding both Chansey and Larvitar in the Elite Four, clearing the area over and over again while Entei holds the Amulet Coin, an item that it's had for the entirety of this section, I've just forgotten to mention until now. This allowed me to grind up enough money and experience to evolve Chansey into Blissey at level 46 with max happiness, Larvitar into Pupitar on a single level, and into Tyranitar at level 55, giving me plenty enough money to get Porygon, finishing off the section with a total of 204 Pokemon and a time of 122 hours and 51 minutes. 8 gym badges later, and there's only one section to go. Kinda crazy that you can't get any new Pokemon between any of the Kanto gym badges, but I'll take it since we've already caught 80% of the Pokedex already. After talking to Professor Oak and getting access to Mount Silver, I'm able to get into the cave and grab a Magmar in the first room during the day, and in the next room I can grab Mistrovis during the night. And yeah, that just means one more breeding session left. Hatching Magby after biking up and down for about 10 minutes between Goldenrod and Route 34, ending the challenge with a time of 124 hours and 10 minutes. No, I'm not fighting Red. I've played too much Gen 2 in the past few weeks. I'm done. So, who are we missing exactly? Well, the trait evolutions of Golem, Gengar, Machamp, Alakazam, Steelix, Politoed, Scizor, Slowking, Kingdra, and Porygon 2 can't be obtained with our rule set, and Gold and Silver still have a few version exclusives, those being Vulpix, Ninetales, Mankey, Primeape, Mareep, Flaffy, Ampharos, Girafarig, Remoraid, and Octillery, the other 2 starter Pokemon and their evolutions, the Kanto starters, the fossils aside from Aerodactyl, the Kanto legendary birds, Mewtwo, and Mew, and Celebi if you're playing the console version, but I'm not, so we're good there. Getting over 80% of the decks in one version is quite an accomplishment too, and I'm glad that I was able to start off Generation 2 with a bang with Crystal version. But what could I have done better? Well, definitely safe scumming for stuff a little bit more, but honestly I feel like I pulled off this challenge in really great time, so I don't really have any regrets about it. So that's Professor Oak's challenge in Pokemon Crystal, but what's on the docket for next week, you may ask? Well, I think another hardcore Nuzlocke is in order, and I haven't played Pokemon X and Y on this channel in a while. So I figured it would be fun to see if I could take on the game with a hardcore Nuzlocke using only fire types. See you guys next time. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that since if you are, you're taking too long. I want to give a huge shout out to my $10 and above patrons, Kyle Campbell, Aiden Brandon, Richard Jackson, and Justin Dimmenstein. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you'd like to help support as well, you can head over to my Patreon page, link in the description, where you can get access to stuff like videos early, an exclusive role in my Discord server, link also in the description, challenge requests, and much more. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you guys next time with another challenge. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.